The 10 mysterious and shocking archaeological discoveries that have baffled scientists around the world. Hello everyone, history never dies, it only waits to be unearthed. That's a phrase archaeologists often remind themselves of whenever they embark on a new journey. But have you ever wondered what secrets might lie hidden beneath the quiet surface of the earth? Secrets powerful enough to shake the world? Objects that seem like mere stones, ceramics, or scraps of cloth may in fact carry the power to overturn everything we thought we knew about history, about humanity, and even about the future. In today's video, we'll take you on a journey through 10 of the most mysterious and shocking archaeological discoveries on the planet, from a 1,000-year-old cloth predicting the year 2040 to a tomb in England filled with a massive treasure, from a buried ancient city under the land of Thailand to a sacred blue room in the heart of Pompeii frozen in time. Each story opens a door to the past and perhaps even offers a warning for the future. Are you ready? Buckle up, because the journey into untold mysteries begins now. A 1,000-year-old cloth, with 8 characters predicting the year 2040, stuns experts. On a mild sunny day in the early 1990s, an archaeological team on an expedition to the remote region of Xinjiang, China, unintentionally lifted the veil of time, bringing thousands of years of history back to life. Their destination was the ruins of Nia, a location that once served as a cultural crossroads between East and West along the legendary Silk Road. At first, expectations were low. Most believed this would be just another routine excavation, unlikely to yield anything major. But the moment a shovel struck the dry, sandy earth, it opened a completely new chapter in history. After days of digging in the desolate soil, the team discovered an ancient tomb. It wasn't a royal mausoleum. There was no gold, no jade, none of the burial goods we often see in historical Chinese dramas. The surprise lay in its simplicity. Inside the tomb was a small piece of cloth, very small, measuring just about 7.3 inches long and 4.9 inches wide. At first glance, it seemed to be an ordinary remnant of fabric, but its condition left the team in awe. How could a piece of cloth remain so intact in such a harsh climate with high humidity and extreme environmental degradation? It hadn't rotted away completely, nor was it torn to shreds like most fabric would be after thousands of years. The cloth had delicately rounded corners, neatly hemmed silk edges, and even a decorative ribbon. More astonishingly, it was made from 5 layers of smooth, woven brocade, a stunningly advanced textile technique that far surpassed expectations for ancient weaving. But that wasn't even the most shocking part. Embroidered on the fabric were 8 ancient Chinese characters, stitched by hand with remarkable precision and clarity. When translated into modern language, they read, "5 stars rise in the east, bringing prosperity to China." A seemingly mystical phrase, yet one that shocked both archaeologists and astrologers alike. Why? Because the sentence read like a prophecy. No one had expected that our ancestors, thousands of years ago, were already observing the cosmos and leaving behind cryptic messages. The cloth was later sent to multiple major research institutions. After extensive radiocarbon dating and modern age determination techniques, experts confirmed that the artifact dated back to the Han Dynasty, over 2,000 years ago, and the 8 embroidered characters weren't just a poetic line. They represented an ancient astrological prediction. In traditional Eastern astronomy, the 5 stars symbolize the 5 elements: metal, wood, water, fire, and earth, that form the basis of all things. They also correspond to the 5 planets visible to the naked eye: Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. When these 5 planets align in the eastern sky, forming a straight line, it is considered a rare celestial event, a powerful omen foretelling prosperity for the nation under its influence. That's why the phrase, 5 stars rise in the east, bringing prosperity to China, isn't just a prediction. It's a cosmic record, based on the ancient worldview in which people lived in harmony with nature and read the stars to determine the fate of their nations. Even more curiously, the phrase 5 stars is the very symbol on the modern Chinese flag, a fact that has led many to wonder, did people in ancient times somehow glimpse the future? Or is it merely an eerie coincidence? Regardless of whether it was chance or prophecy, the tiny brocade cloth from the depths of Nia remains an invaluable treasure. It's not just a historical artifact, it's a bridge between past and present, carrying with it a mysterious message from millennia ago. Once again, history reminds us, Every grain of sand, every scrap of fabric, every ancient word could hold the essence of an entire civilization. And sometimes, the smallest things are what leave the world the most astonished. The ancient city of Nakhon Ratchasima. If you think Nakhon Ratchasima, a modern, bustling city in northeastern Thailand, is only famous as the gateway to the Izan region or as a tourist hub, you might want to reconsider. A recent groundbreaking discovery is gradually unveiling the secrets of a civilization that once thrived here thousands of years ago. A distant past even modern Thais never imagined to be so rich and profound. It all began with what seemed like a routine archaeological excavation in 2024, when the Fine Arts Department of Thailand launched a project to uncover remnants of the city walls built during the reign of King Narai the Great, who ruled the Ayutthaya Kingdom from 1656 to 1688. The goal was believed to be restoring and preserving structures from the Ayutthaya period. However, just days before the project was to conclude, archaeologists unexpectedly discovered a human skull. This finding stunned the team and completely changed the way we view the history of this area. Excavations were extended, and within just 17 days, 3 more skeletons were uncovered, along with many artifacts such as Phaimai black pottery and gold jewelry. Distinctive relics of the prehistoric Iron Age culture, dating from approximately 2400 to 1500 years ago. Thermoluminescence dating confirmed this was an ancient cemetery, evidence of a prehistoric community living here long before Ayutthaya or even the Khmer Empire dominated the region. But that was not all. A research team led by Professor Dr. Santi Pilapli from Chulalongkorn University began to ask, could present-day Nakhon Ratchasima be the first city established on this land? By analyzing aerial photographs from 1954, they discovered a nearly square 4-sided earthen embankment located beyond ancient moats and aligned with the flow of 2 old streams, a sophisticated water management system commonly used by ancient civilizations for irrigation and community protection. Even the city's main modern road, Champol Road, might have been the southern boundary of this pre-urban community. This means that beneath the soil of modern Nakhon Ratchasima lies a city even older, an ancient settlement covering about 1.25 square miles, twice the size of the ancient city during King Narai's era. This discovery sparked a new wave of investigations, leading to further excavations near Phon Lan Gate in the east in early 2025. There, another 3 sets of human remains were found at depths ranging from 393 to 656 feet, along with astonishing artifacts such as bracelets, pottery vessels, and gold fragments of up to 80% purity. These archaeological finds clearly indicate that this area, once thought to have been settled only from the 17th century onward, was actually inhabited at least 2,500 to 4,000 years ago. Scholars even suggest the prehistoric settlement could have persisted until the late Iron Age, just before the transition into the historic period marked by written records. What excites researchers even more is the shape of the ancient settlement, nearly square, contrasting with the traditional rectangular shapes of Khmer reservoirs. This supports the idea that the settlement was an independent city with its own urban planning system, not completely influenced by Khmer culture. As a gift from the past, these excavations have opened up opportunities for the public to witness history coming alive. The excavation site at Phon Lan Gate has been transformed into a temporary learning center, welcoming tourists, students, and archaeology enthusiasts. Visitors can touch artifacts, hear stories directly from experts, and feel more vividly than ever that beneath their feet lies an unwritten chapter of history. Thai professor and historian Tongthong Chandransu, after visiting the site, wrote, "Now I understand that people have lived in this area for at least 1,500 years. This settlement survived until the dawn of the historical era." These discoveries not only rewrite the history of Nakhon Ratchasima, but also prompt us to rethink the formation and development of civilizations across Southeast Asia. The 2,000-year-old Blue Shrine. You are stepping into a city frozen in time, where every moment has been preserved from nearly 2,000 years ago. Not in paintings or books, but in every stone, every wall, and every speck of ash. This is Pompeii, the ancient Roman city catastrophically buried under volcanic ash following the devastating eruption of Mount Vesuvius in 79 AD. Though time seems to have stood still here, the city's secrets continue to unfold. Recently, an ancient chapel, only about 86 square feet in size, but filled with countless sacred stories tied to the spiritual life and religious rituals of ancient Romans, was discovered by Dr. Gabriel Zuck-Triegel and a team of experts from the Pompeii Archaeological Park. The chapel is located in the city center, within a large architectural complex that was part of a domus, a Roman villa of antiquity. From the first uncovered wall sections, it was clear this was no ordinary room. The entire wall base is painted blue, a shade extremely rare in Pompeian fresco art, typically reserved for spaces with special functions and elaborate decoration, reflecting the room's importance and sanctity. What draws the most attention are the frescoes painted directly on the blue walls. On either side stand representations of the goddesses known as the Horae, goddesses of the four seasons, symbolizing the eternal cycle of nature and time. At the center are subtle metaphors related to agriculture and sheep herding, depicted through symbols such as the plow and the pedum, a short staff commonly used by hunters and shepherds. These images are not mere decorations but express the close relationship between humans, the land, and the gods in ancient Roman culture. But the room was not only artistic, it was a sacred space where religious ceremonies were performed. Archaeologists found 15 wine jars used in sacrificial rites, along with a set of bronze vessels, including 2 jars and 2 oil lamps, carefully placed in what is called the Holy Storage Room. Interestingly, a pile of empty oyster shells was found right at the threshold, and researchers believe they may have been ground and mixed into plaster and mortar during the chapel's restoration. A small but telling detail revealing the unique construction methods of ancient Romans. The discovery's context is also noteworthy. The chapel sits within the southern area of an insula, a large city block containing multiple functional spaces. Surrounding this site are important structures under excavation, such as a public bath, a large black reception room with frescoes overlooking a courtyard, and a staircase leading to the upper floors, indicating this was a luxurious complex once owned by a wealthy and powerful Pompeian family. The chapel excavation is part of a long-term plan to preserve and reinforce Pompeii's archaeological structures, which today include over 13,000 rooms in 1,070 housing units, as well as public areas, temples, and sacred buildings. Finding more structures like this helps clarify the religious life of ancient Romans and improves hydrogeological management to combat the risks of subsidence and erosion caused by modern weather. Pompeii was once a thriving city with paved streets, squares, theaters, and luxurious buildings for the elite. But it was buried in a single fateful night. Today, with every shovel by archaeologists, the past awakens, and places like this newly discovered chapel whisper ancient prayers, beliefs, and hopes for harvests, life, and the endless cycle of time. If I say Pompeii is not just a place buried by a volcano, but also a keeper of the soul of a once great civilization, where the past still lives through every wall, every color, and every silent oyster shell on the threshold of history, that would not be an exaggeration. A 7,000-year-old settlement in Serbia. Have you ever wondered how the earliest civilizations of humankind lived? How they built communities, spread knowledge, and invented technologies in a time without writing, without wheels or metal? If your answer is yes, then this next journey will take you back over 7,000 years to a peaceful area along the Tamish River in northernmost Serbia. Here, amid quiet fields and rural villages, an international archaeological team from the Roots Cluster of Excellence has uncovered one of the largest late Neolithic settlements ever discovered in the Banat region, opening surprising new doors into an important chapter of human history. This settlement is located near the modern village of Jarkovac in the province of Vojvodina, Serbia. According to Professor Martin Furholt from Kiel University, who leads the research team, this discovery is particularly valuable because large-scale late Neolithic settlements are rarely found in this area. By applying modern geophysical technologies, the team was able to comprehensively map the settlement just this March. It is estimated to cover between 27 and 32 acres and is surrounded by 4 to 6 ditches, indicating a high level of social organization and scale for such an early period of human development. Finn Wilkes, a PhD candidate at Keele University, added, "A settlement of this size is truly spectacular. Thanks to geophysical data, they were able not only to define its boundaries, but also to understand its internal structure, which dates back to around 5400 BCE. Simultaneously, the team conducted systematic pedestrian surveys, collecting many artifacts that identified this as a settlement of the Vinca culture, one of the most prominent cultures in Southeast Europe during the Neolithic era. Notably, some traces also suggest strong interaction with the Banat culture, which is rare in Serbian archaeology. Why is this important? Because the combination of Vinca and Banat cultures not only proves that ancient cultures did not exist in isolation, but also shows that people of that time began exchanging knowledge and techniques, paving the way for the emergence of metal technology later on. To better understand the spread and development of prehistoric cultures, the team extended their research into Hungary, where they analyzed late Neolithic circular structures known as rondels, previously thought to belong to the Lengyel culture, around 5000 to 4400 BCE. However, by combining geophysical surveys and surface investigations, researchers found that many of these rondels are actually younger constructions, some even dating to the Copper Age. A notable example is a site once considered late Neolithic, but after reassessment is more likely linked to the Vuchedol culture, which developed around 3000 to 2400 BCE, a transitional period between the Stone and Copper Ages. Dr. Kata Furholt, a key team member, explained, "This helps us clearly distinguish the layers of time at each site and better understand how knowledge, technology, and even social inequalities began to take shape in human history." Therefore, Southeast Europe, a region often overlooked in major studies of human history, is actually a starting point for many important advances, especially in metalworking, ditch construction, and large-scale community organization. What is happening in Serbia and Hungary is not just ordinary archaeological excavation. These findings are crucial pieces that help decode the transformation of humans from scattered hunter-gatherer groups into stable, organized communities with religion, agriculture, and gradually social institutions that we today call civilization. And all these elements, from ancient ditches thousands of years old to tiny artifacts found on the ground, tell the vivid story of ancient humans' journey, their development, cultural exchange, and transmission of knowledge among early European cultures. It can be said that what the Roots Cluster is doing is more than just archaeology. They are digging deep into the past to find the origins of who we are today. A massive treasure in an ancient tomb in England. Surely many of us have dreamed at least once of discovering a treasure buried underground, a moment that seems to happen only in fairy tales or Indiana Jones movies. But for Thomas Lucking, a 23-year-old student from England, that miracle actually happened in real life. During a routine metal detector survey near the village of Winfarthing, Norfolk, Thomas accidentally uncovered an Anglo-Saxon ancient tomb, the resting place of a high-status woman from more than 1300 years ago. Even more remarkable, on her skeleton lay a precious gold pendant, later valued at £140,000. But this discovery was not simply a matter of luck. It opened a whole new chapter in archaeological research on the Anglo-Saxon period, when ancient English society began transitioning from polytheism to Christianity, marking a major turning point in Europe's cultural and religious history. Experts believe the woman buried in the tomb may have been a noblewoman or spiritual leader, because between 650 and 675 AD, only those of special status were buried with gold and lavish jewelry like this. The pendant is a masterpiece of Anglo-Saxon goldsmithing, crafted with exquisite artisanal techniques that reflect the blend of native beliefs and the influence of the newly introduced Christian religion. And it wasn't just a single gold artifact. Thomas also found many other valuable objects in the tomb, all clearly indicating that the deceased was not only wealthy, but also a person of great influence in ancient society. The find quickly attracted attention from Norwich Castle Museum, which has shown deep interest in this collection of artifacts. In a spirit of openness and transparency, Thomas stated he will share the proceeds from the treasure's sale with the landowner and his companion, and plans to use the money as a down payment on his first home, a journey from underground treasure straight to a dream of settling down. Michael Lewis, head of the Portable Antiquities and Treasure Department at the British Museum, emphasized that this discovery is not only valuable in material terms, but also represents a crucial archaeological milestone, shedding more light on Anglo-Saxon society, a glorious era that spanned from the 5th to the 11th century in England's history. After the Roman Empire withdrew from the island in 410 AD, Germanic tribes like the Angles, Saxons, and Jutes began settling and establishing numerous small kingdoms scattered across the land. It wasn't until 927 AD, under King Athelstan, that these kingdoms were unified into the Kingdom of England, the very foundation of modern England. The Anglo-Saxon period was the age of builders. They stood out not only for their military achievements, but also for profound cultural and religious contributions. They built monasteries and churches, developed metalworking and weaving arts, and left behind literary classics like Beowulf, the epic poem that reflects the life, philosophy, and spirit of the ancient Anglo-Saxons. And thanks to discoveries like Thomas's, we can better understand their lives, a society standing at a crossroads of transformation, from paganism to Christianity, from division to unity, from chaos to construction. What is most special about this find is the clear link between social power and religion during the early Christianization of England. The woman buried was not only honored with jewelry, but also represented a cultural and spiritual transition. Although the Anglo-Saxon era ended in 1066 when the Normans invaded and took control of England, their legacy still remains imprinted in the language, architecture, and culture of England today. Therefore, each discovery like this is like an important puzzle piece, helping restore a part of the soul of European history. So if one day you wander afield with a metal detector in hand and a curious heart, who knows, you might be the next to open a door to history, just like Thomas Lucking did. Because sometimes, the real treasure isn't in the value of gold or silver, but in the stories the past quietly tells. If only someone is willing to listen. Records on a 3,500-year-old ancient tablet. Imagine a piece of land that once trembled under the footsteps of ancient empires, where every brick and layer of soil hides untold stories spanning thousands of years. Then, not long ago, amid the ruins of a city that was once a center of power, archaeologists in Turkey unearthed a small, modest-looking clay tablet bearing the mark of 3,500 years of history. The tablet, measuring only 1.6 inches long and 0.63 inches wide, weighing a mere 1 ounce, instantly drew global attention. Not because of its size, but due to its surprising content. A furniture shopping list dating back to the 15th century BCE. Sounds strangely modern, right? A furniture shopping list recorded millennia ago, as if the Bronze Age had its own bills to settle. In reality, this is one of the rare documents illustrating how the economy functioned back then. From individual transactions to public asset management, from handicraft production to meticulous and systematic bookkeeping. Turkey's Minister of Culture and Tourism, Mr. Mehmet Ersoy, emphasized that this tablet is a crucial key to better understanding the economic structure and state organization during the late Bronze Age. What makes this tablet extraordinary is not only the content of the transactions, but also the language used. Akkadian, a form of hieroglyphic syllabic script widely used throughout the ancient Middle East. Akkadian is one of the oldest Semitic languages ever recorded, related to Arabic and Hebrew. Though now extinct, during the 3rd millennium BCE, it was the primary language of major empires, spoken and written from Iran to Egypt, stretching across what is now Turkey. Thanks to the excellent preservation qualities of baked clay, these Akkadian inscriptions survive to this day, taking us back to a time when even buying a wooden chair was worthy of being recorded in history books. Discovered during the restoration of the ancient city of Alalakh, known today as Tel Achana, near Antakya in southern Turkey, this clay tablet was found in soil layers disturbed by a powerful earthquake. Ironically, this natural disaster paved the way for the spectacular archaeological discovery. Around the 15th century BCE, Alalakh was the capital of the Kingdom of Mukish, a prosperous settlement under the control of the Mitanni Empire, a powerful Near Eastern empire famed for its advanced handicraft production, especially pottery, metalwork, and glass. The Amorites, a Semitic people from western Mesopotamia, modern-day Syria, inhabited and developed the civilization there. They not only built fortified cities, but left behind a legacy of massive mounds, or tells, formed by centuries of construction and reconstruction. Amid these tells, archaeologists have uncovered numerous palaces and castles, holding many other tablets that form a vivid picture of royal life, politics, and society of that era. By approximately 1350 BCE, ancient records show that King Shadawaza of the Mitanni Empire ceded Alalak to King Suppiluliuma of the Hittites, marking a decisive power shift in the region. Every tablet and artifact unearthed, including this furniture list, is not just proof of ordinary transactions, but pieces of a historical puzzle helping archaeologists better understand the social dynamics, power, and daily life of people back then. You might wonder, why is a shopping list so important? But consider this. At a time when writing was a privilege, dedicating an entire tablet to list furniture shows how essential these items were to royal or noble life. They were not merely objects but reflected status, power, and a society's economic organization. That is why archaeologists and linguists today are focusing on analyzing the meanings and symbols in each line of this tablet. Pirate ship, revealed after 4 centuries lost. You've probably heard the tales of Caribbean pirates, the black-flagged marauders sailing the high seas and burying treasure on deserted islands. But today, forget Jack Sparrow and those Hollywood legends. We're about to step into a true chapter, full of drama, bloodshed, and mystery, about a band of pirates who terrorized Europe for centuries, the Barbary Pirates. And recently, for the first time in history, one of their ships was discovered deep beneath the sea near the Strait of Gibraltar, unveiling shocking truths about a little-known past. According to maritime archaeologist Sean Kingsley, editor-in-chief of the specialized journal WreckWatch and a member of the research team, this is the first time a Barbary pirate ship has been found in this sensitive area. The shipwreck lies at a depth of 2,723 feet beneath layers of seabed sediment in the Strait of Gibraltar, one of the world's most important shipping routes and the boundary between the Mediterranean Sea and the Atlantic Ocean. What makes this discovery especially remarkable is the ship's identity. It is a small warship of the tartane type, about 46 feet long, equipped with 2 masts, and rigged with triangular sails made from a fabric called tartanes, popular in the 17th and 18th centuries. This was a nimble vessel that could easily disguise itself as a fishing or merchant ship, a familiar tactic of the Barbary pirates to deceive their targets. The Barbary pirates, also known as Ottoman corsairs, were seafaring warriors who began their operations in the 15th century from Algiers, then part of the Ottoman Empire. They not only seized ships, but also launched terrifying raids on coastal European villages, kidnapping civilians and turning them into slaves or hostages for ransom. Their attacks plunged Mediterranean coastal nations into fear for hundreds of years, especially in the Western Mediterranean, where trade routes and small fishing villages became prime targets for plunder. The newly discovered ship was heavily armed, carrying 4 large cannons, 10 swivel guns, and multiple muskets, enough firepower to threaten any merchant vessel in the area. Its crew numbered about 20 men, a small but fierce and cunning force. Researchers also found a rudimentary telescope, believed to have been captured from a European ship, a revolutionary tool at the time that allowed enemies to spot targets from afar. Notably, many artifacts retrieved from the wreck indicate this was clearly no ordinary merchant ship. Glass bottles made in Belgium or Germany, exquisitely crafted teacups from Turkey, all evidence that the vessel was engaged in large-scale piracy and carrying a hold full of stolen goods. Despite its clever disguise, the ship's heavy weaponry and cargo led archaeologists to confidently identify it as a vessel of the infamous Barbary pirates. Based on its sailing direction and wreck location, experts believe it was on its way to raid the coast of Spain, a frequent victim of pirate attacks in that era. However, the ship never completed its journey. It may have succumbed to bad weather, an unrecorded battle, or simply a fatal accident at sea. No one knows exactly what caused it to sink, but one thing is certain. The ship and all its secrets have rested quietly beneath the ocean floor for centuries, until today. Finally, the fate of the Barbary pirates themselves wasn't much different from the ship just found. In the early 19th century, an alliance of powers including the United States, Sweden, and the Norman Kingdom of Sicily launched decisive military campaigns that ended Barbary pirate dominance in the Mediterranean. Those who once terrified all of Europe were defeated, now surviving only in the bloody, smoke-filled pages of history. What do you think of this discovery? Could there still be countless historical secrets waiting to be uncovered in the ocean's depths? Don't forget to share your thoughts below in the comments so we can continue our journey tracing the past and decoding the untold mysteries of the world. 2,500-year-old biological armor of an ancient soldier. Can you imagine? Over 1,500 years ago, a warrior in northwest China was buried with a treasure that still amazes modern archaeologists today. A piece of biological armor made entirely from leather, intricately designed like fish scales, skillfully covering the entire torso, much like a modern vest. This was not simply armor. It is a vivid testament to ancient military technology, the cultural exchange between East and West, and the timeless creativity of early humans. This extraordinary armor was found in the tomb of a man about 30 years old in what is now northwest China, one of the crucial crossroads of the legendary Silk Road. What makes this armor so strange and valuable isn't just its structure, composed of more than 5,500 individual leather scales, 5,044 small scales, and 140 larger ones. But the challenging question it raises: how could a defensive armor design, originally from the Neo-Assyrian civilization, ancient Mesopotamia, present-day Iraq, in the West, appear so far east on the Eurasian continent by the 7th century BCE? Patrick Wertmann, the lead archaeologist from the University of Zurich, believes this armor was not ordinary military gear. Weighing only about 11 pounds, roughly equivalent to a lightweight backpack today, it was designed to fit most body types, allowing ease of movement and high effectiveness in combat. This suggests it was not just for elite warriors, but possibly a common issue for mass armies of the time, a breakthrough in how ancient armed forces were organized and trained. Notably, the overlapping fish scale structure helped disperse the impact of sharp weapons while providing flexibility, an essential factor in close-quarter battle. Interestingly, this armor closely resembles depictions of Neo-Assyrian armor carved into ancient stone reliefs, the warriors of an empire once dominant in Mesopotamia during the 7th century BCE. This similarity leads researchers to believe the armor was likely not made in China but imported or crafted based on Western designs, providing rare and compelling evidence of early East-West military technology transfer, possibly centuries before the Silk Road was officially established. Alongside the armor, other burial items were found, including pottery, 2 horse cheek pieces made of horn and wood, and even a sheep's skull, possibly ritual offerings or indicators of the buried individual's social status. Remarkably, a plant thorn embedded in the armor's scales helped scientists precisely date the armor to between 786 and 543 BCE. This further enhances the archaeological value of the find, not only demonstrating ancient leatherworking skills, but also tracing a transcontinental journey where technology, knowledge, and culture spread thousands of miles across steppes and deserts. Reconstructing this armor is a remarkable feat. Imagine stitching each tiny leather scale, likely cowhide, layered row by row in precise proportions to form a living shield that is both sturdy and perfectly contoured to the body. This craft required meticulous care, patience, and deep understanding of human anatomy and materials. This was not a casual product, but the outcome of a systematic production process, possibly commissioned for the military or high-status groups in ancient society. For historians, this biological armor is more than an artifact. It's a priceless piece of the broader picture of interactions among ancient civilizations. It shows that thousands of years ago, people knew how to learn from, replicate, and even improve upon technologies from distant lands. And in this journey, those tiny leather scales, when connected, became shields, not only for soldiers on the battlefield, but also for the memory and wisdom of humanity, preserved and passed down to the present day. A 900-year-old knight's sword. Beneath the turquoise waters off the coast of Carmel, northern Israel, a land steeped in thousands of years of history, Israeli divers have discovered an artifact that sent shockwaves through the archaeological community. A sword measuring approximately 4.3 feet in length, dated back to the 12th century, the very era when Crusader knights swept through the Holy Land. This spectacular discovery was announced by the Israel Antiquities Authority, IAA, on October 18, 2024. What makes it especially remarkable is not only its nearly 900-year age, but also its near-perfect preservation. an incredibly rare condition for artifacts submerged underwater for centuries. The sword itself is about 4.3 feet long, with a handle roughly 12 inches in length and a blade measuring around 3.3 feet, crafted entirely from iron. Over time, natural processes and marine life incrustation formed a protective layer around the blade, acting like a natural armor that helped maintain the sword's original shape remarkably well. According to Inspector Nir Distelfel of the IAA's Anti-Theft Unit, this is not just an antique item. It's a beautiful and rare sword, potentially once wielded by a Crusader knight. Just imagining that is enough to send chills down the spine of any history enthusiast. Picture a knight clad in iron armor, gripping this very sword, fighting on fiery battlefields for faith and honor. And now, nearly a millennium later, his weapon has been found resting on the ocean floor, like a message sent across the ages. But it's not just the sword. During the same expedition, divers also uncovered other artifacts, such as pottery pieces, stone and metal anchors, all hinting at a once vibrant and possibly strategic medieval port. According to Kobe Sharvit, director of the IAA's Marine Archaeology Unit, the Carmel coastline combines many advantages for both trade and military activities. Its natural small bays once provided ideal shelter for ships during sudden storms, while larger bays gave rise to ancient settlements like Dor and Atlet. Thus, this region serves as a vast archaeological treasure trove, where every shifting layer of sand can reveal traces of history. One particularly fascinating point emphasized by the research team is that changing seabed conditions pose enormous challenges for locating and excavating artifacts. Even a minor storm can either expose or completely bury these treasures. Therefore, every accidental find, like this Crusader knight's sword, is incredibly valuable, not just scientifically, but for the entire story of humanity. Experts must work quickly and precisely to collect as much data as possible on site before nature once again buries everything in oblivion. So, what are we really talking about here? Not just a sword, not just an ancient artifact, but a gateway to the past, an invisible thread connecting our era to a time long since legendary. More importantly, it reminds us that beneath the seemingly calm ocean waves, countless untold stories and mysteries remain, waiting for someone curious, passionate, and brave enough to uncover them. The strange remains in the sealed cave. Hidden deep within the ancient geological layers of Mexico, a recent discovery has sparked awe throughout the archaeological world, a secret concealed by time, darkness, and rock. It's not a gleaming golden temple or a dazzling treasure trove, but a small cave entrance, less than 1.5 feet high, harboring thrilling stories of the pre-Columbian Maya civilization. A brilliant, mysterious culture that continues to be the subject of countless scholarly debates and passionate explorations. The story began as what seemed like an ordinary project, widening a road between two ancient excavation sites led by Mexico's National Institute of Anthropology and History, INAH, for the Federal Ministry of Culture. However, while digging, archaeologists unexpectedly uncovered a strange stone adorned with a sea snail shell firmly attached to its surface. Beneath that stone, a narrow passageway, almost buried by time, revealed a completely different world, a small cave divided into at least two modest chambers, only about 10 feet long and 6.5 feet wide, with an average height of just around 20 inches. This cramped, dark, damp, and suffocating space turned out to be the final resting place of people who once lived, breathed, and existed thousands of years ago. As soon as the sealing stone was removed, the archaeologists were stunned. A human skeleton lay with its lower half outside the cave and the upper torso deep inside. Moving further into the cave, the research team led by Mr. Jose identified at least 8 burial sites, mostly adults, preserved almost intact thanks to the sealed environment, stable humidity, and lack of direct light. Ideal conditions for organic remains to survive centuries. But the story doesn't end there. During the survey, researchers Geronimo Aviles and Christian Sanchez made an even stranger discovery. The narrow cave not only contained human remains, but also fossils and bones of at least 9 mammal species, ranging from vampire bats and domestic dogs to unusual birds and reptiles. Remarkably, even fish species like tiger sharks were found, raising a major question. How did shark bones end up in a burial site so far underground? The answer remains unknown, But one theory suggests that these bones might have been intentionally placed by the ancient Maya as offerings or part of spiritual rituals. Some animal bones even show signs of cutting and modification, as if they were once used as tools or artifacts. The archaeologists also uncovered numerous ancient bone needles. Alongside these were countless pottery shards, fragments of everyday items, ritual vessels, or containers for liquids used in religious ceremonies. The biggest challenge for the team wasn't just scientific, it was the harsh working conditions. The cave's narrow space barely allowed an adult to move comfortably. High temperatures, humidity, and insects made every step difficult, yet they were not alone in this battle. Thanks to modern technology, from high-resolution cameras and laser scanners to 3D modeling software, archaeologists could record every tiny detail of the cave, from the exact position of each bone to faded decorative marks worn down by time. Their ultimate goal was not only to understand what happened in this cave, but also to preserve this entire archaeological ecosystem for future generations. This discovery opens a new chapter in humanity's understanding of the Maya civilization and proves that the past is never truly dead. It is simply waiting to be unearthed and retold through the patient hands and passionate minds of those who believe that every stone, every bone, every drop of sweat is a step toward the light of knowledge. And this mysterious cave, though less than 1.5 feet tall, is enough to open a door into the deep world of history, where ancient voices still whisper, waiting to be heard. What do you think about this discovery? Leave your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to give this channel a like and subscribe so you won't miss any exciting future discoveries. For now, goodbye and see you next time.